of the Town of Hopkinton for wind energy facilities. Said local law in general terms promotes the effective and efficient use of the town's wind energy resource through wind energy facilities and to regulate the placement of such facilities so that the public health, safety, and welfare will not be jeopardized. The full text of this local law may be seen at the town office during regular office hours or on the town website at www.townofhopkinton.com. Please take notice that a public hearing upon said proposed local law will be held at the Town Hall, 15 Church Street, Hopkinton, New York, on the 21st day of August 2017 at 7 o'clock p.m., and that an opportunity to be heard in regards thereto will then and there be given to those favoring passage of such proposed local law and also those opposed thereto. Dated August 8, 2017 by Vicki Friend. Also at this time, I'd like to read, this is a public hearing regarding the proposed revisions to the wind facilities local law number 4 of 2017. Everyone will be given an opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. All those who wish to speak will have the opportunity to speak once before anyone can speak a second time. All comments are directed to the town board. There will be no debate between audience members. Audience members that become disruptive will be warned once. If the disruption continues, he or she will be asked to leave. If he or she refuses to leave, the public hearing will be closed and the regular meeting will begin. When I call on you, please stand and state your name for the records. And now we will start. Public hearing is now open. Mr. Snell.
I respectfully request that the board not allow the addition of land south of State Route 72 to the wind overlay zone proposed and requested by the upstanding representatives of Avangrid, aka Iberdola, aka Atlantic Wind. Mr. Parker has indicated that it is his opinion that everyone should have an opportunity to have wind turbines and make money. Leaseholders have even requested that this board do whatever it takes.
I asked you to stand.
I'm not listening. Do whatever it takes to make sure the towers come.
Jeff,
I believe that was requested from...
Please stand. Everyone's going to have to stand. Thank you.
Leaseholders have even requested that this board do, quote, whatever it takes to make sure the towers come. I believe that was Gail Kelly who mentioned that. As anyone who attended the DEC presentation in Potsdam last month can attest to, I believe, Sue, you were the only one that was there. The area south of 72 is the headwaters for numerous streams and brooks that supply water not only to Catherinesville State Forest and Whiskey Flat State Forest, but numerous homes in the town. Who is going to protect us when the wells are contaminated? It's clear that this board does not have either the interest or the means to protect its citizens from Avangrid, its deep pockets, and the endless supply of attorneys. Support for Mr. Parker's compromise is a sham. Avangrid has already indicated their intention to fight 2,500-foot setbacks and the decibel levels that have been proposed by the Wind Advisory Committee. Article 10 may play a role in affecting the reasonable and protected setbacks in the DBA set by our Wind Advisory Board. However, they will not interfere with the wind overlay zone. This board has allowed a handful of greedy leaseholders to open Pandora's box, and life as we know it in Hopkinton will no longer be the same. It is truly sad that leaseholders are putting financial gain over the health and well-being of their neighbors. I honestly think that leaseholders like Dick Akins could care less if people or groups of people like the Amish community pack up and leave. That will just make for more land that they can acquire and put more towers on in phase 2 and spread more of this bullshit on. By the way, Dick, how deplorable of you to use your grandchildren to spread your lies in the Hopkinton Fireman's Field Day float you presented. Although I support all the groups that have formed to fight against turning Hopkinton into an industrial wind turbine zone, I do not represent any of them. I am here as a citizen, a husband, and a father who will do whatever it takes to protect my family and my property.
Jeff, your 3 minutes is up.
How far will you go to protect your rights?
Janice?
I want to go on record that I oppose this project within the residential town of Hopkinton, New York for health and safety reasons as well as concern for the environment. Many peer-reviewed studies support the need for further research of the effects of industrial wind turbines on the environment and human health. I have emailed, Facebooked, and handed in information concerning this issue so the board members all have knowledge of the negatives. I have supplied information to the fire department with health and safety fire-related issues. I have notified the local media about the issues surrounding this project. To go ahead with this project with all of this information presented would prove negligent and unethical. I am asking for you to make the setbacks as restrictive and safe as possible. Know that 2,500 feet is not sufficient, and you must add the measurement of 5 times the height of the turbine for safety, as the setback would indeed have to change if the turbines are larger in this phase or the next. Iberdrola representatives agreed that industrial turbines can cause symptoms. Iberdrola also acknowledges that 3,000 foot is a recognized distance of interest when offering a good neighbor agreement. How come we have to settle with 1,800 feet to 2,000 feet? Please also take out any waivers or variances, as they will leave room for the company to scoot around the guidelines set up in our wind law that have the purpose to protect us. Please follow the Wind Board recommendations, as the board spent many hours investigating the best solution to this problem. Realize 35 dBA, although still too high, is more protective than 45, and it's still unsafe. The ambient measurements need to be done prior to the construction by someone of our choosing that will take measurements that are reasonable. For instance, due to Dick Akins' pulp mill, all of the readings within a mile will be inflated and skewed, so things like that need to be considered. We also need a property value guarantee, which would protect people who do not benefit from the project but will be affected. Other towns have put it in their wind law, and it's reasonable to put it in ours. I would suggest contacting their town lawyers and ask them how they did it. Realize that I have talked with many folks around this town, including many of our Amish neighbors, and there is no support for this project except the lease and agreement holders. These people have made a terrible mistake, but we should not have to pay and share in their consequences for their lack of proper legal guidance. Iberdrola is pressuring Parishville's Wind Board to make adjustments to their law to ease their burden, but the only entities that are burdened are the non-participating landowners and the environment. In the changes, they are asking that anyone who makes complaints about sound from the turbines pay for the testing. So if the company comes once and they are in compliance, the next time they come, it costs the person who's complained. Keep in mind, you might complain on Tuesday, and they might not come that day or the next. They may never test when it's at its worst, and that's the point. Once this project is in operation, there will be very little incentive for these absentee owners to be responsive to citizens. Once all the tax breaks and subsidies have been captured, we will be left with these turbines. The company will try to change our wind law. Any restrictions we implement, they will not respect. The company will do anything to force this project on the population, but we are not going to allow it. We are not a willing host. This is a bad project, one that will shape our small town for the life of these turbines.
If this continues, we will end the public hearing.
We have a right to clap our hands, thank you.
Stand, please, and state your name, sir.
Good evening. My name is Bob Bloom. I'm a resident and a taxpayer in the town of Hopkinton. My wife and I live south of State Route 72 in a very unique setting. We live a half a mile off from State Route 72 in the middle of Whiskey Flat State Forest on a remote 7.5 acres. I feel very blessed to live here. A quote from your roadside welcome signs: a nice place to come home to. Therefore, I support no expansion of the wind overlay zone south of Route 72. Now, I would like to address 2 previous issues from the town board and the wind advisory meetings that I brought forth. The first, I addressed in early spring, I asked you as the town board what Hopkinton will look like in 20 years. If industrial wind turbines were allowed to come into our community, what sort of legacy are you, the town board, going to leave for your children, your grandchildren, your friends, and your neighbors? I have done the research. In 20 years, if allowed, we will be one of the statistics as an industrial wind turbine junkyard. Fact, right now, in the U.S. alone, there are over 14,000 abandoned industrial wind turbines. Industrial wind turbines left to rust and to leak fluids that are not dismantled. Okay, I'm sure the wind company said they would dismantle them. Fact, they are still standing. The second thing that I would like to address is the fear of forest fires. I addressed this both to the town board and to the wind advisory board. Where I live, there's always an ever-present danger of forest fires. Fact, industrial wind turbines do catch on fire. Fact, the wind company's answer to this is, let them burn. Because the DEC will not allow people into the state forest to cut dead and down timbers, which I addressed at the DEC's meeting in Potsdam. The forest floor is a tinderbox. It's not a problem this year. We've had an overabundance of rain. Last year, there was a countywide, statewide burn ban set forth. If you expand south of Route 72, you are dealing with two state forests, Whiskey Flat, where my wife and I live, and the Catherinesville State Forest, both bordering the APA. A potential for a forest fire. The best words to describe this, danger ahead. With that said, as you as our elected officials, you must protect all the people in the town of Hopkinton. If anything, you as a town board need to do what is right.
Bob, your time is up.
Okay.
Thank you. Gentleman in the back.
I got a question. If these things get in here, how is the money that's coming
What's
off?
your name, sir?
Larry Drake. I live on Lake Azonia. That's my home, which is a cash cow for this town. And I pay a lot of taxes on it. And I'm curious to know what's going to happen with the money that the town is going to receive from these things, and how it's going to be handled. Who gets the money? How is it handled? Where does it go if they get in here? That's my question.
Can't answer that question at this time because we have not negotiated any amount of money.
Don't you think that's something maybe we ought to look into? If they do come here?
Absolutely.
I think that's something that should be looked at.
New firehouse.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they should be here, but if they are here, we should decide what we're gonna do with the money.
I will. Excuse me, sir. I couldn't hear what you said, Mr. Drake.
I think we should, whether they get here or not, but if they do get here, I think we should be talking about the money a little bit. What's gonna happen with the money they generate for the town? Nobody seems to be talking about that here.